And I am going to go ahead and share something with you guys that we did last week and we're super excited about it. So we're gonna share it. We got together with the special education students at Cedar Ridge, the class, and we did a transit training. So we went behind the shopper shuttle, the normal, public's getting on a shopper shuttle, and picked them up. Do you guys know somebody in there? Yeah. Picked them up at 1 o'clock. Do you guys know this girl right here? Cause she would have to be my daughter. She's hiding. Anyway, we picked them up at Cedar Ridge at 1 o'clock because that is when the one of the shopper shuttles stops. Okay, I want to go to the next one. We followed the shopper shuttle path behind the other shopper shuttle. Just, along the way, we gave them tokens, we gave them a brochure, showed them how to download the app so that they can, talk to them about how you can see where the bus is, so you can know when it's coming, and you don't have to sit out in the rain, and gave them a token and a brochure, talked about all the different routes, talked about how to speak to your driver, how to ask your driver for where you need to go or what bus you might need to connect with. They were absolutely wonderful. They had the best questions. We used to do this before COVID with a younger group and it was exhausting. They were an inspiration. So we did the shopper shuttle route, then we stopped at City Hall so they could understand that SAM is a city-owned transit service and that it's theirs. That's why it's free for everyone in town. We talked to them about who their city council is, showed them where their city council sits. They had a great time learning about the city with the map. Tyler came down, introduced himself as a city manager. It was wonderful. And of course, you cannot do transit training without having Joe's Donuts. So they had Joe's Donuts and water in the council chambers. And then we got back on the trolley and headed back to school. But it was so, and then we finally got a last photo in the bus stop in front of Cedar Ridge so that they would know where they needed to catch it. After school, we talked about how the schedule is designed to operate after school hours when the school buses are no longer operating, and that's why it goes by the middle school and the high school and why it does it in the evening and not in the mornings and so on and so forth. So Chris, you probably didn't see any of those, did you?
No, but I believe you.
It helps if I push share, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm multitasking. I'm doing football stuff too, so.
Okay, all right. Well, good. Because I just did not share my screen for you at all or the public. So I should go back and at least share one of the photos because they are so stinking cute. Except I don't know where my let me do that. Nope. Here we go. There we go. Now you see them. I hope. Do you see them? Yeah. Okay. All right, so that is my show and tell for. Now we can get started with our record.
Great start.
Yeah, great start. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. I look forward to doing more. COVID is gone.
Fantastic. So I think the only person we're missing is our beloved Bernice. Did she share?
I did not. I was waiting for you to do introductions.
Yes, so, Bernice is a longtime board member and, she had a mini stroke last Wednesday. She's doing great. She was in the hospital overnight. Is scared, but and understandably so. And has absolutely no physical, residual effects from the stroke, so I'm very happy about that. So she was very adamant about not coming tonight because she didn't feel she could contribute anything in her less than energetic and totally full on self, so.
Hoping she gets better.
Yeah.
Is she home?
Oh, yeah, she's home. Yeah,
Okay.
she was only overnight, just one night in the hospital. And, I did ask the important question, if EMS guys were as attractive as the last ambulance ride she had, and she said they were good, but not as great as the last.
That's
Bernice at 96.
Good for her.
So,
Yes,
yeah.
she's really something.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. And, let's just carry on with any comments or corrections on the December meeting minutes.
Wasn't here for the December. That was my surgery day,
Yeah.
so I was around, so.
Yeah, I said it was virtual.
I think it was virtual. Yeah.
Okay, so just ask for a motion to approve those minutes as they were distributed.
I don't know if we can even.
We don't even have a form, do we?
Mhm.
Never mind.
Oh, no, we do. We do. It's here. So you do.
One, two.
Yeah, 4. Yep, you're good. Sorry.
Somebody want to give me a motion?
I'll give you a motion, I wasn't here, but I'll give you.
Thank you. And a second. Chris, you want a second?
I will definitely second for you.
Thank you, Brent. Okay, and so approved, and Martin, do you have anything to add to our meeting agenda for tonight? Okay. I'm gonna say we're just gonna approve yours as submitted, and next is, we do have our new liaison person with us. Welcome. Hi there. Thank you. Thank you. So, that being the case, why don't we just do a real brief intro of who we are, why we're on board, and, give us a little bit as well. Okay, so we can all get to that. Joseph, you want to start us off?
Sure. So I'm Joseph Lowe. I been on the board 15 years now.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It's been a long time.
Started out as a consumer advocate, probably 30 plus boards across the state. And in the last about 8.5 years now, I've been working with the state under Agent and People with Disabilities. And my role is that I'm the program analyst for the Disability Services Advisory Councils throughout the state, and also the coordinator to Oregon Disabilities Commission. So keeps me busy. I'm gonna piggyback off that. I'm Roxanne Lowe, I'm Joseph's wife. And I do pretty much everything he does of going all over and advocating wherever he goes, I go. So, but we live in Sandy, we've been in Sandy going on
17 years, I think, 18, somewhere around there. Been here a while, so I'm aging myself.
Great advocates.
Great members.
Yeah.
And Heather Miche, Chair. I've also been on the board for a long time.
Yep.
And, absolute transit, public transit nerd, well, I'm so proud of our city overall and our fabulous award-winning system that just continues to get better. Yes, we have a lot of fun too. And very good. That food is really.
We try. I think it's your turn, Chris.
Chris Alexander, been on the board, I think about 4.5 years, maybe 4 years. I'm not good at math. I work at TriMet, and so I figured might as well use my knowledge there to help improve the SAM out here. I guess I should add more deep people know. I've been at TriMet going on 24 years. I train drivers out on my run, and so it's yeah, it's the expertise, I guess, to try to grow SAM out here. And I've been a resident out here for 13 years.
Chris just sat on our selection, our evaluation committee for our RFP or our operations contract. It was really nice to have somebody on the selection committee who is a board member and also brings the operator perspective to the process, not just the admin, but the operator. So it's great. Thank you. Yep, go for it.
I'm Christina Ramsey. I've lived in Sandy, it'll be 30 years in May. Same house, seemed like a big yard at the time, now it seems really big. I raised my 2 older kids out here. I have some bonus kids that are now lucky enough to be raised in Sandy. My oldest daughter works for the county. My oldest son went through the special ed program in our school district as well. And so when I'm not doing other things, I am a direct support person. I work for Next Step Strategies, a local company, and I have clients that have different levels of needs. And so that's what I primarily do for my employment. You know, I kind of have zero background in city or planning or council or elections, and some really big apartments went in my neighborhood, and I thought, like all of us probably do it one time, I'm gonna speak up and I'm gonna make it go away. And once you get in the process, you realize that's just not it. But I found my place on the planning commission. I found it to be really informative, and I wanted to take that experience to council. There was an opportunity to do it, and so I'm really happy where I am. I'm learning a lot of things. Just kind of sidebar, when we did the goal setting, I think the transit in Sandy is a jewel that people do not realize we have. And that was one of my personal goals that we were contributing, is to let people know how great the transit system actually is. Take it to, you don't have to go to Park, to Meinig for the Mountain Festival. Call the Star, they'll pick you up at your door, they'll bring you back. It's the greatest thing ever, and I want people to understand how reliable and consistent that service is. And so it's invaluable, I think, to the citizens.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. We agree wholeheartedly.
Especially the trolley.
Yeah, and Charlie is the one. So, I'm Andy Howell, and I've been the transit director I've been with the city for 12 years. Started as a transit assistant, became a transit manager, Then transit became my department, became a department head. Of course, that was all in like 2.5 years, I think it was like. I have a background in community services before moving to the city and was like, what do I want to do? Oh, transit looks fun. And so here I am still, love it, was a huge community resources person. I worked for the state and was the research analyst for the first and second Oregon Poverty Report. And we put together all the, the various resources that are available, and at the time, and I'm sure still, transit was not included. And so when I came here, I was like, that was a big oversight. What an amazing community asset and available for all, not just, those who are in poverty. So anyway, so I've loved it. Love jumping into transit. I have 3 kids who graduated. One graduated from Sandy High. He's about to be 22 and just finished a firefighter program in Portland. And I have a Sandy High School senior who just signed her letter of intent to play volleyball with Mount Hood Community College, and she's gonna stay home and go into the nursing school. And then you saw my third pride and joy, who is the queen of the family. She tells everyone she's the queen of the family. She's totally 100%. So anyway, and she's a 7th grader at Cedar Ridge, which has been amazing. All great schools. I can't say enough. So that is me in a nutshell.
I'm Luna Rustin, and I've been with the city of Sandy for about 10 years, just 5 years. And I also started as a transit assistant, had no expectation to ever go in transit, and found it, the job funding, and here I was, and I loved it. From there, I was going to school, I got my bachelor's, and went on to get my master's. And I became program administrator, and then we changed it as my job shifted to become a transit manager. And I really I love that we serve this community and all the surrounding communities, that we are not just a benefit to, none of Island. So it's pretty amazing, and I get to work with these lovely ladies every day.
My name is Tamara Brown. I'm the general manager for NV Transportation, the current contractor for the operations as the operation contract. I moved from Florida to Washington with another contractor. So that was a big culture shock. And then I moved from Washington to Oregon, and I love Oregon. I did not like Washington. But I love Oregon. It's so pretty, and you have the beach, you have the mountains. It's just that it's a lovely state, and I really like it here. I've never married, no kids. I have a brother who's gonna be moving out here with me or wherever it stands. That's just me and my cat.
Georgie.
I'm Nancy Payne. I've been with the city for 6 years. I'm part of this lovely team. I agree with Linda, working with them every day. I have been married 26 years, have 2 grown kids. That's pretty much it.
Also started as the transit assistant. Recently had a new title. Transit administrative specialist. Yeah. Running theme there. All right. So welcome. We're happy to have you. Cannot wait to, get some thoughts on improvements, changes, directions. And it'll be really nice to have a local voice at the table.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, I'm gonna hand it back to you.
New business,
New business.
NEPA.
Okay, so I'm trying to think how long and how much I've told you guys this, so. We have 3 electric buses that are supposed to arrive in May. We got a grant from the federal government and in the grant, which all of you know, we always do this, we say. We wanna buy the vehicles and any equipment that may be needed to run those vehicles, you know, you kind of throw the whole kitchen sink in just in case. We also got a different federal grant to begin work. Of the necessary upgrades to the operations center, so PGE will have to put in a new transformer. Run a new line, down the front of the property. We partnered with PGE, for the Fleet Partner Program. We have a great plan with PGE. I'm gonna share documents, I think, Chris. Just, we might as well have a visual. My board does not want to. I wonder if I go here. And. Where is it? There. Let's see, nope. I believe this might have a pretty good view. Not that one. If I can get it to pull up, then I will be very happy. All right, now let's try to share. One of these days, I will be so tech savvy, it will knock us out. But not today.
Technology will work us all.
Yeah, right.
Take your time, don't rush.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Let me go back to, well, I lost us. I had us and I lost us. Maybe I won't share. There. Can you see that, Chris? Okay. So, I don't know that it's gonna let me move. It won't let me move. Bummer. There it goes. It's just heavy. Oh. I think that was it. There we go. So. This is where we are. So the new line will come from here. And there will be a transformer here, and then these bus barns, which are right there, will they'll have an electric dispenser here, and I believe one here to charge vehicles. And another one that's kind of cut off that's down here. So we have a federal grant, I think it's for $465,000 to cover this project. We have the grant for the electric vehicles. And then at the same time, we are also in the middle of architectural and engineering design for a new facility, which will go, if you can see where that Mount Hood Express bus is pulled in, it will go right there. So, that building would move the operations out in from here, so dispatch, etc. And the drivers into, this will become a conference room. A closed off conference room into that building, and then there will be maintenance bays. I believe you we're still on the planning commission. Okay, so you've seen kind
It
of.
came across the planning commission desk and then city council the next meeting.
Yes, perfect,
Double
perfect.
dipping.
That's right. So we went through the process to get this property rezoned. For a couple of reasons, it didn't match the surrounding zones, that made it in industrial 2, which is a lighter industrial, which is more for what we do, which is not really public facing. We kind of hide, we purposely hide all of that, right? So it allows us to not have to go through some of the heavier industrial public facing things that are more expensive. So we save city money, save taxpayer dollars, and we match the rest of the way that this area has been developed. So, in the process of all of that, there have been a lot of changes, at the federal level. There have been a lot of changes at ODOT. And now when we put through, even to buy a vehicle, we have to do a NEPA, which is an Environmental Protection Act process. So, we have received word back that we have to, so we submitted the NEPA process, which is, it's called a DCE, it's a documented categorical exclusion, and you go through a checklist of, did you check for salmon, or did you check for a cultural analysis to make sure there's no arrowheads, or, et cetera. That was all done when this building was built in 2009. It was done for the entire property. So when we built those 2 bus barns, we turned all of that in to the feds again, said this was on the master plan. We're doing what we said we were going to do in phase 2. And they said, great, yep, you said you were going to build these bus barns. They're bus barns. You did the work. Good, great. Nice knowing you. This time, they said, well, I don't see a cultural analysis that was done, in 2009. And, the trench that's gonna be dug out here is deeper than what was stated in the original categorical exclusion. And nowhere in the original did you mention anything about electric vehicles. So you have to redo it all for each project. So we have 3 NEPA processes happening. We were able to take part of the grant for the upgrades and use it for planning. So we hired a consultant, which has been great because we don't have the time or the expertise. I mean, this thing is amazing. So to make a long story a little bit shorter, where we are is, once we hit 30% design, we need to do a geotech study of the ground to move any further in design for that building. So we have sent a new, DCE to the federal government with an area of potential impact and some other things that they've asked for. So our consultant was able to put that together, and it went to the feds last week. We've been sitting on that for a long time because this back and forth of, we tried to just send in the old stuff, etc. So we've kind of done it back and forth, and finally, with the help of this consultant and the feds and ODOT, we've gotten them the documents that I think will allow us to proceed. So we're about 3 months behind in that planning project now. We are at least 6 months behind in this project because one of the things that's required is a cultural analysis. And so we've hired our consultant has hired a recipient or subcontractor who specializes in cultural analysis, and they have to get permits, and the permits take 30 days, and they come out and they build pits, and they just see if there's any remnants of anything in the pit. Yep. And that is supposed to start happening in April. So hopefully they'll come out, they'll dig some pits, there won't be any, you know, Native American artifacts or anything we're disturbing. And then we still have to hire, there's a hazardous materials aspect to that analysis where they have to check the soil to make sure that if, once we start construction, we aren't like unearthing some sort of hazardous material that we didn't realize was under there, so we still have to do that. And this consultant is trying to find a sub-consultant because they don't specialize in that. So, there is another small but significant aspect, which is ODOT in January said you're gonna need NEPA for these buses because in the grant you said chargers are necessary equipment. And they said, and we didn't realize, but you need all the NEPA done and turned in by March 6th. And I said, I cannot have it to you by March 6th. So we went into emergency mode because what we learned was that ODOT had mistakenly, I think, when they created my grant, my contract, they created it, it took like 9 months. And so my contract is good until fiscal year 27. So for me, I'm well ahead of schedule and on time and getting all my documents, etc. Well, they didn't realize that their grant with the federal government expires this June. And they didn't know it until they got that flag from the federal government that said, if you don't have NEPA in by March, you're gonna lose those funds. The entire funds, the entire 2.8, I believe it is, project. So we met with Gillig to see if there was, can we switch to a hybrid vehicle that is diesel? It's electric, but it's run on diesel. So that we don't have to do the chargers. And we've told the federal government, we can charge them. We can either go to Fred Meyer right here and charge them, or Wilsonville has a portable charger that they're willing to let us borrow until we can get our infrastructure. So we don't need the chargers. So we got them what we had from our consultant by March 6th, minus the cultural analysis. And we sent in a request through ODOT to change our scope of work to just include the buses and take the chargers out. So if they do that, we won't need to do the NEPA and the buses can still show up. In the meantime, we had a decision to make locally of, do we keep going on these vehicles or do we cancel? We talked to Gillig. It takes 2 years to build a bus. So if we had, one of our buses, the money is there, it's paid for, but the other two is all of this mess. So, they would not be able to get us back in the line of vehicles in time for my grant to not run out. So getting a different bus wasn't an option, and we are limping. We should have 4 Gilligs to run the Gresham service, and we've been limping on 3 for quite a while, waiting for these new buses. Are we still limping on 3?
I just saw 26 rolling down the road, it just got fixed.
So, long story short, we're rolling the dice a little bit that ODOT's gonna come through. They're trying very hard on their end. They're pushing through the scope of work changes on our behalf and trying to get that done. So, cross your fingers. I decided that our contract has not been breached, in my opinion, and so we're gonna move forward and those buses are gonna show up and we're gonna get paid back. So, in the meantime, we're still working on a cultural analysis and a hazardous materials, for our Environmental Protection Act. Yeah, it's a lot. It's been a lot. been a lot. Which I think is why this year's moved in lightning speed. Because when you have those deadlines and you're trying to get so much done before they get there, they seem to come really quick. Faster than others. So, hopefully, I would assume by late April or May, we'll have all of our documents in a row and be good to go and hit the ground running. And then we'll need to hire a consultant to do the work out there, but we're not doing that until we have all the paperwork. The federal government, I will tell you, they've changed a lot recently. Canby, for example, if you don't do the NEPA in the perfect order, you just lose your grant. So Canby purchased 2 acres back in, oh my gosh, when did I start looking? I want to say they purchased it maybe 2008. They did not intend at the time to use federal funding to build on it. So they did not undergo the NEPA process when they bought it. And they said in their documents to city council that it was to be used for transit at a later date when it was built. Well, now things have changed and they were gonna use federal funds. But if you do not undergo the NEPA process before you purchase the property, you cannot get federal funding. So they cannot get federal funding to build on those 2 acres that they bought because they didn't do NEPA. And apparently, if we were to buy a property now, we would need to do the NEPA and then buy it. If your intention was to with federal funds, to build on the federal funds. So luckily, we are at least in the position that we did NEPA when this was, you know, purchased and built at the time. So the city has done the right steps. But they are being very, Umpqua lost their LONO, which is the same grant we had that ODOT is trying to salvage for us because they bought chargers before they did the NEPA process. They didn't put them in, but they bought them. So they lost their entire project.
Just so can they sell it to somebody they know?
Yeah.
And then turn around and rebuy it back?
No,
Why?
you're done. It's out.
They can't, from this point on, go back and buy it and start back over.
They could, but not with federal funds. So they would have to reapply for federal funds and do the NEPA and then purchase something. But I'm pretty sure they, just like Canby, also lost the ability to build on that parcel of land. Like there is no going back.
Not going back, but going forward.
Yeah,
They sold that property. And then turned around and wanted to buy
Maybe.
it back.
maybe. I see where you're going. I see
As
where
a-
you're going.
As the
Maybe. Mhm.
starting over of, well, let's do that stuff now and then
Mhm.
purchase it right back.
Yeah, yeah. So that's where we are with NEPA. Cross your fingers that we get to have a big party that we, get our $2 million for our 2 buses when they show up in May. Okay,
Ridership.
I'm gonna turn that over to Muna does our ridership charts, et cetera, every month.
So I will bore you guys with numbers because you don't have all the transit narratives that show our ridership. January was amazing for us, so I'm very excited. Virtually every route increased in service. February had a weird fluctuation, so again, overall, we're seeing our ridership increase compared to COVID, but we still haven't got back to those pre-COVID levels. I think one of the most exciting things for me, and I'm roughly guessing that we started running the town center route 1 year ago, middle of January. this point, I believe we are like 400% over our original ridership. It's huge. So that's exciting. We're seeing a lot of people riding that route, on regulars. And people coming into town on those buses. And then as Cicada, we did the interline with, Village Shuttle. And that was back in October, we started that, and at that time, we went fareless, just to kind of jumpstart the route, and, it had been having poor ridership, and that one again, it's well over 100% of an increase from last year, it's doing really well, even though we reintroduced the fare, we're still having consistent ridership. So I think one of the things that we want to do, because we're watching this weird influx in our ridership, is that we're going to start auditing what gets put in the tablet, just so we can confirm that it is still working correctly. It's what we did initially before we went to using the tablet, the drivers just come on paper. We did one so we can confirm that their ridership was correct. And we just want to go back and do a double check, make sure that it isn't an error on, you know, one of those electronic errors, so. So that's what we're doing there.
I will add that, and I haven't looked at the ridership to see if it's even successful yet, but I am so very proud of us because at the last minute, when Muna and I were running the route, we said, why don't we add Vista Loop, which the city has been trying to serve Vista Loop for a long time, but it's out there, you know, it's past the transit center. It's hard to loop it into any of our services, and but because we were interlining with Village Shuttle, so once we stop the SDR route that goes and runs the mountain, we're able to serve Vista Loop, which is like the universe just magically said, here you go, here's how you can do that without having to add a whole separate shuttle for it. So
I think the ridership there is slowly growing. It's been a tougher sell because they haven't had consistent transit there. So I think that it will be going up.
Well, and they're building all those houses too, so
Yeah,
they have
absolutely, yeah.
a whole lot to still build, so
Yeah.
I'm sure it will go up.
Yes.
should be a great route. Absolutely.
You know, yesterday was driver appreciation day. Did we?
I just in passing said that's, you know, that tomorrow. really.
Yeah,
So that's
so
where some of our food came from.
we should say thank you very much to our drivers who are out of the day. Make sure that people do. The bus get to where it needs to go.
They're a great crew.
Yes, they are.
How are we doing on the EV, right? As far as vehicle consistency and all that?
We doing great.
Okay.
We have a couple of great drivers on the route right now. They're exceptionally great for our elderly and disabled. It's a very full program right now.
Do we have just one vehicle or two?
We have two, and I mean, we typically take the transit vans that are there, but if we need to, we can take a larger bus at times. You know, may depend on how many passengers we have, and if there's more than one wheelchair, we may take the bigger buses, but yeah.
Okay, operations contract.
Well, I think, oh, nope, that is next. Okay, so I pulled the scoring up. I have made us numbers instead of people for obvious reasons, but so we had 3 bids. RFP went out January 9th and was due back February 19th. We had 6 people who sat on the evaluation committee, which was myself and Muna, and then Ryan Wood with Public Works. And then we had Heidi Miller, who is with Canby Area Transit. So typically, you know, you get a provider from another district. and help out, with their expertise. And then Chris, who I've already said was great because it gave us that, not only a board member, but also an operator. So it was a great addition that we have not had on that committee in the past. Typically, it's just us and then other districts. So it was really nice to have a board member who also brought the operator aspect.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, I was on vacation and I did that, so
Did.
Wow.
He did.
I needed a
yes.
break from Vegas for a couple hours, so that's why I did it.
Poor guy. Yeah, so we had 3 bids. MV was one, who is our current contractor. RTW was another one, and then MTR Western. And MTR Western currently operates the new county shuttles. So Estacada to Clackamas Community College, and then 2 of their shuttles that they've started recently that are in Clackamas County industrial area, and another one. So anyway, they're very local. MTR Western is a Pacific Northwest mainly. MV, we all know MV. They've been our contractor for 5 years. And then RTW was this surprise out of nowhere that I have never heard of until the RFP process. They put together a very good bid. They interviewed very well. And as you can see, they ended up scoring higher. So as of Friday, we issued an intent to award to RTW. That does not mean we are signing a contract with RTW. It means that they've been selected by the committee, but I now have to do the background research and call all their references and make sure that they are as good in real life as they looked in their RFP. And then we also go through a negotiation process. So, there might be things that we want tweaked that maybe we can't tweak or whatever. So that's where this currently stands. Like I said, that was last Friday that we issued the intent to award. We've attended 2 safety meetings, but the first one we didn't know yet, I don't think. So the second one, we let people know. We put it up on the board. As I'm sure you all know, that is a lot for drivers. That means a new boss, new company. We are begging this general manager to please stay if RTW is our new contract. But it means, a whole new company, which means a lot. So, we always try to take care of them in the RFP. It's their wages are stated in the RFP. The RFP is very clear about you have to meet where they are now or better, or it's non-responsive. We try to make it as easy as possible, but honestly, it's never easy. It's a new company with new paperwork and new equipment and insurance, medical insurance. So we have gotten some questions from drivers, who are a little nervous. We aren't sure what our GM is going to do.
Your GM's not sure what she's
And I have a placeholder right now. I think I've said that I will take it in front of city council with my recommendation on the 7th of April. That's probably gonna have to be kicked back to April 21st. I don't think by the 7th we will have done the legwork that needs to be done. So I think by April 21st, we will know, exactly what's happening and go in front of city council to be sure that they agree that that is what should happen. So that's a big deal. That's a very, very big deal. Okay, so if you all end up with questions, please come and let me know. I showed the drivers, and I keep getting envies because it's the biggest one. But so that you all know what Chris was doing while he was in Vegas, this was MV's bid. The others were more like, oh, this is MTR's. MV left, yeah, this behind. This was MTR's. And then RTW's was about this size as well, but this is what he got to do while he was in Vegas. And then interviews, we interviewed all three. Oh, easy. Yes, yes, very. So potentially, big changes are gonna happen and potentially, not.
This is the size of the MV one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was reading that on my flight and there, I took all this stuff with me. So I was like, that's a lot. So,
Hopefully you didn't have to pay extra for baggage.
Right.
No, it was on my carry-on.
Both MV and MTR have requested more information, which is fairly typical, and there is a protest period that I believe is 10 days. I believe it's 10 business days after the announcement of the intent to award. So, we have shared the scoring sheets with them. Process. Okay. I don't hear any questions. Moving right along.
Operations update. Madam Jamila.
So, the GM for MV, we were fully staffed. Which is something that it's been a struggle. I just give you some background. I came here in July 2023 last year, 2 years ago.
2 years.
Almost 2 years ago. And I've been hiring drivers forever. I've been operations manager and now GM, but I've been doing HR from 2019 before COVID. It's always been a struggle for drivers. And it's nice to know that now we're in place. I told my dispatcher doesn't schedule, like, I'm gonna get you to a point where you're gonna say, I have too many drivers, what I'm gonna do with them, that's what I'm gonna do. Cause right now, we're at the point where we have a couple of days where we have an AM standby and a PM standby, so if I have someone call out, I can fill the slot and we don't have to worry about anything. This winter has been a lot easier,
Absolutely.
than last year. Last year was a huge struggle, because I'm constantly hiring, everyone is trained to do every route. And I had standby, so I could move people if this person doesn't want to do a mountain route, because the mountain, you can't put everyone on. If you don't want to do a mountain route, we'll move this guy here, the mountain's covered, this is covered, done. I think we have not had any open routes this year. We've had missed maybe 1 or 2 trips because I had a driver either be sick and we couldn't cover the last trip, or I had a driver actually get sick. And was able to do most of his route, but not the last trip, but that's a lot better. And when I came, Andy said, just tell him right now, you're not gonna sleep in the winter time, it's gonna be stressful the entire time. But it has not been that way this year.
It has not, actually. It has
And
not.
that was when after last, I was like, we're not doing this.
And I believe it was an accident-free winter.
Yes, actually, we have not had an accident in 9 months. So I call it my safety baby.
That's great.
And I think winter ends at 2 AM tomorrow morning, so just a few more hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't had an accident in 9 months, which is amazing. And last year, this time, I already had 2.
Yeah, that mountain route is no joke. It's no joke. They are chaining up every trip, every day. And unchaining, and honestly, when they have accidents on the mountain, typically it's other people who don't drive in the snow who slide into them or whatever, but,
We haven't had.
it is no joke.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and I told you that too, just get ready, keep hiring, because almost always somebody quits in the middle of their mountain route. They're not ever doing it again. We didn't have that happen. Yeah.
I'm not sure how that question would be worded for the both candidates for operations, but how do they plan for making sure the driver slots are all full with.
Yeah, all of them went into detail about how they recruit and how they keep fully staffed, but I don't think anybody's ever actually prepared for that route.
MV has
Until they're-
recruiters, MV has recruiters that has been helping me, and they will actually schedule people on my calendar. And just send me the information for me to. So that's been a huge help. Yeah, do you want me to go on the mystery?
Sure, that'd be great.
Cause it's new business.
Yeah, new business.
Even though we're still here, we're not done yet. I was talking to Andy during that starting a program involving passengers to train them to be a mystery driver and a mystery caller. And we'll just come up with questions and train you on when you get on the bus, what to look for. Did the driver greet you? Did you pay a fare? Did he wait till you sat down? Is the bus clean? All that kind of stuff. And then also for a mystery caller, did the person the person greet you politely? Did they identify themselves? Did they get your information? All that kind of stuff. So that was something I was wanting to bring up if you want to see if that was a good idea. Yeah, that's great.
I love it.
Now, what kind of
I'm
frequency?
ready.
Just. What kind of frequency?
Well, I've done it. When we did it, where I come from, we would do it once a quarter. And I came from Latran, which had like 100 drivers. And I had like 10, there was like 10 supervisors, there was about 10 or 15 drivers. And they would just get bombarded in their mailboxes to talk to the drivers. And once you get the survey, you review it with the driver, whether it's good or whether it's bad, because I don't just want to tell them when it's bad, I want to tell them good too. And the good surveys, I would put into like a raffle, and like a $10 or $20 gift card, so.
They do prizes quite a bit, and we feed them all. Try to keep them very happy.
Yeah.
But customer service is the priority.
Cause even
So,
our revenue shows that it's that people like it, but we want to keep it that way, we don't want to see it drop and then have to go figure out why.
Oh, call.
Swipe left.
Hey, capital projects under whole business.
I think I probably hit on the capital projects plenty by talking about the NEPA process. We've been on hold with this one. Until we get the approval to do geotech drilling. And our buses will be here tonight. Other than that. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
On to financials.
So it's budget time. We are about to take our budget to the budget committee. So I'm gonna share it with you first. I'm going to walk through it, but if you have questions, stop me. So what I have pulled up is, this is the budget that we're currently in, but about to be out of. This is where I project our spending will be by the end of the year, and this is our new budget. So, this line is, our savings. We tend to sit on, it's grown a little bit. When I got here, I believe it was about $1 million, and we've slowly kind of kept it around 2 million. Part of that is for our capital projects, but a bus is $1 million. So it sounds like a lot of money. It's actually not a lot of money. We were very lucky the last time the federal government shut down for 8 months to have something like this. Hey. So we were able to not cut any services, even though we weren't getting reimbursed for, that time period. So this is very important. I expect that as we build that building, we're gonna cut into this quite a bit. We have been successful in the stiff discretionary process. We asked for match for that construction, so we were provided actually slightly over what we asked for, so we were given about $900,000 for that project.
Can you just spell out stiff?
Yeah, statewide transportation improvement fund. So it was part of House Bill 2017, the big transportation package. Transit got payroll tax out of that, and in this session, they're trying to increase that over the next 4 bienniums. So all of our state funding actually has been moved over into what's called STIF. So we used to have STF, which was Special Transportation Funds. That's now all STIF. So it looks like we were supposed to have state grants that we didn't get. We got them. We just got them as STIF because they got rolled into STIF. So, what?
But we do that.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
That's what
It's
we
been-
predicted, that they would do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Sorry, that's not.
yes, there's lots to be said about that. Anyway, so I'm just gonna kind of walk us through. Some of these are, just like this is a little wonky because this got moved into here. Sure why that's at 2 million actually. Oh, that's because, we actually got a stiff discretionary prior to the one I just mentioned that, was for a technology project. And so when I did the original budget, I didn't know I was gonna get that grant. So it ended up being higher than what we thought we were gonna bring in stiff revenue. Our budget is a little wonky when you see things like this, because we have slowly, as you all know, taking over more and more contracting duties on behalf of the county. As a matter of fact, in this RFP process, we will be their contractor. So we will hold the contract, pay their invoices, etc. We already do that. The only invoice we don't pay currently is the one that pays MV. We pay all their maintenance invoices already. There's a lot of reasons why. Anyway, we do get paid to do that. If you all remember, we get employee support program is every month we get about $2,300 to cover employee time spent on that program. They pay us rent, pay us for parking. And then we also do any demand response rides that are done outside of our jurisdiction, so our city, we do it, and then the county pays us for it. So we get some money there. In working through that process, we started depositing their fares into our bank, and then we would just take it off the invoice. So some of these, when we originally put amounts in, like here, look really wonky because they weren't coded the way we kind of envisioned it when we did the budget, and they've been taken out of, our revenue, which is fares. So I may have to fix this before we go in the budget committee, just to give a very clear description of where everything went, but our fare, so this, I've knocked down to 10,000. That's what it should be. Estacada gives us 5,000 a year for the Estacada service. It doesn't sound like a lot, but they don't have to do that at all. They're actually in TriMet's jurisdiction. So, they do pay a payroll tax to TriMet. They just pay us because they believe in the route. So that has been knocked down. One of the things during the last budget session is a council member requested that we separate Mountain Express out of our budget to make it more clear. So we will now have a SAM budget and a county budget. So you're gonna see that in a minute. So that's why some of these are gonna get knocked down. You're just gonna see Estacada in my budget. This is overhead admin revenue that we will get from the county that I just mentioned. So the employee support, and the ed rides. This is interesting. So if we build that building, we will be hiring a mechanic. And that mechanic will do all of the city's fleet maintenance. The way we're seeing that happening is we will hire a mechanic. And we will pay the mechanic and the other department. So no matter what department in the city, you're gonna get a bill for probably $125 an hour and parts and blah, 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 blah. However, that revenue, from those invoices will come to our department because that will be under the transit department. So if we get this building built, and this is a lot of ifs, so keep that in mind. If we get this building built, then we'll be hiring a mechanic and we will have revenue. Okay. Farebox Fair Media, honestly, seems really high. I don't know why. Muna and I talked about it at length. I'm not sure why it's as high as it is. I need to look into that. But that's what our finances say, and we check it every month. So, let's see. Farebox, those are all things that I just told you we're gonna move. This is the interest that we make off of our nice little nest egg. We have to track stiff interest separately. This is facility and vehicle fees that we receive from the county. This is miscellaneous. And this is, you guys, I'm sure remember that we loaned money to the police department several years ago, and we loaned money to Sandy Net. This, I believe Sandy Net has paid us back, but the police department is still working on it. So that's what this is. So now we're going to talk about our expenses, unless you guys have questions about revenue. Nope. Okay.
Andy, I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the flat money that we're now receiving, does that go in the county?
So it currently does show up as county money, but I didn't put it in here because by October we should, thank you, great question. Typically we get flat funding. That is a federal fund. We were awarded it several years ago. We've gotten it for many, many years. It was on hold at the federal level, and so we haven't actually received it from the federal government in probably 4 years. The state stepped in and gave the county and SAM $500,000 last year to cover that hole. So we've been getting that money through. We've been billing the county for our Estacada and part of our SAM. That funding is supposed to start up again in October. So hopefully it'll be in our federal funds. We'll see. It'll be great if it is. So you'll see that salaries has gone up quite a bit. We've grown quite a bit. You've heard that our titles have changed significantly over the years. We have agreement with the city manager that we could use one more admin position at the transit department. We run 2 agencies on 2.8 FTE. So yeah, it's maddening. So another FTE is in there, and then the mechanic is in there too. So that's why it jumps quite a bit. So that may or may not happen. And to be honest, if we did hire another admin, I would say it's not gonna. We've factored it in like it's 2 years, but it probably wouldn't do it right off the bat. I'd like to see what's happening at the federal level before I do that. The rest is just things that, you know, come along with salary. I skipped pretty quickly there. Chris, am I sharing this?
No, but I'm following along.
Huh. Let me see. Let me see. Why didn't it share? Cause I didn't push it enough. How about that? Thank you. Next time, tell me. Talking about all these numbers you can't even see.
But
My
that's
goodness.
all right. I still understand it from the last time.
Okay, great. All right, so, the next several lines are just, you know, PERS and employee overhead. See if we can get this out. Those there at the bottom that you see, okay, here we go. Here's the important stuff. I knocked supplies down quite a bit because we didn't reach it. I'm not gonna go into each line item. I don't think you guys care how much I spend on copiers and stuff. If you do, tell me. The very important things are, I kept fuel high. I, as a person, like to keep my income very conservative and my expenses not as conservative, right? For obvious reasons. So I kept fuel pretty high, although we are getting discounts in fuel because we fuel on site now. Repairs and maintenance, I don't expect to be as high because we've worked really hard to find a local vendor. The reason we need a mechanic is it's hard to find a local vendor. Very, very hard. So for a year, at least a year, we had a mobile mechanic coming in and that is not cheap. But you gotta do what you gotta do. Let's see. Okay, here's the biggie. So this line item is our contracted services. That's our drivers, our dispatchers, our supervisors, etc. Maintenance coordinator. This is only fixed route and Sam rides. This is not the E&D elderly and disabled program. Utilities jumped up really high. Utilities for us, the reason that is so high is that is now Wi-Fi on some of our buses, not all of them. That is our tablets. And that is about to be our e-fares. So I put the price high. I put it about 60,000 a year for e-fares. I don't know that it'll be that high. It might be like 45,000 a year, but that's for people to be able to pay using their phone. We're gonna have to pay a fee per bus to have that happen, but it's something that we need to do.
When were you planning on starting e-fares?
We were planning on starting last month. We ended up, we've done demos, etc. We've chosen a vendor. We thought we'd have it in 2 weeks. Then we found a way to make it cheaper by grouping ourselves being all of the Clackamas County providers are gonna have the same vendor. And possibly Yamhill County. So we decided the best way to approach it is for Clackamas County this time to hold the contract and have all of us on it. And that way we get, because we're bigger in size, we get past like a $25,000 setup. So as soon as that contract gets put together by the, we'll have you first.
That's cool, all of the routes in Clackamas County that will
All of
have all
us.
the same vendor.
Yep.
So you
And
will
Hood
have
River County.
a different software, a different
Yep.
app, or a different whatever.
So our tech project, that's one of the things that our tech project has tried to do is have all of us streamline and use the same vendors if we can. And Hood River County is part of, we've included them as well. So Clackamas and Hood River will have the same We can't afford TriMet, so
Try that first.
we tried that first. Let's see, what else pops out? So this is contractual services, for the END program, and that includes Mount Hood Express's, I'm sorry, the county's, END rides, and then they pay us back. Or they pay us a rate is actually how it works. I'm sorry, it's here. And then, transportation equipment is, and I've got to check with finance, they're gonna get this budget tonight. Tyler and I, a while back, our capital line items used to start out with a negative number because we wouldn't transfer money over, and it drove me nuts. And so now we transfer, money so that we're never reimbursed. We always have a match. And so, we'll have a federal fund, and then we'll pay for something, and you'll have 20% that still needs to be transferred over. So that's what this is. The 121 is to, even out we move it from up there to down here as revenue to even out our purchases. You'll notice that 900,000 that I said we got the match. I don't know if I have the federal grant now. I haven't applied. I was pretty sure of myself. But now I don't know. So, I did not put the whole, project in here, but we do know we have the 900,000, so I put it in here. If I can spend it, I will. You know me. We will do the upgrades to this, is what this dollar figure is, for the electric vehicles and the chargers. We'll hopefully start building. And I would like to put in some really nice wooden bus shelters in town. We plan to move the bus stop that is currently in front of KFC to in front of McDonald's, and I'd like to put a really nice, like, wood bus shelter there. So I've put a little bit of money in there to maybe do 2 of those. And then you'll see that we get to the county services. They couldn't make it tonight. Christina told me to tell everybody she's anxiously awaiting to find out if she's actually going to get flat funding. That is about 40% of Mount Express's funding. It's flat funding. So they're a little nervous about whether they're going to get it or not. Essentially, this is their fares that they bring in. This is their county grant money. This is the contract that they will pay to the vendor for their services. This is their maintenance bill, their fuel bill, etc., and so forth, supplies. So again, we will pay all of those, and then this is them paying us for our services. So again, we will pay these on their behalf, and then they will pay us back. A lot of numbers. The good news is, and I'm very happy about it, this is the important line, in my opinion, which is, do you have enough money? And we are bringing in 1.5 million more than we're spending. So.
Get that account to grow and get interest.
Yes, yes. Which is really good because everything costs more than you think it's gonna cost. So, we don't usually have a contingency that high, so. I've gone back through it multiple times, like how do we have this so high? But, looks like it might be real.
One thing about the bus shelters reminded me that we're doing the lighting for the shelters. I don't know if we talked about that.
Yeah. Nancy, do you have any idea when that might happen?
June is when everything should be in, and we can tell what weeks that I'm ordering, so hopefully.
So we did get some federal money and some stiff money, to update all of our solar panels on our bus shelters, cause some of them aren't working so great, so they're not lit all the time. And then, in other places, what comes to mind right off the bat is in front of Tollgate. I don't like the little sad sign that sits there. Those will become signs that have a light on top of it. And, you know, a button you can push. It still won't have like a bench or be a stop, but at least it's not like a sad little
Right.
stick in the. And then the driver can see that somebody's there at night too. So we have several of those. I want to say like 7 of those are going in.
The digital sign.
Did we get the digital sign?
I just really like for the transit center, so just one digital sign. At the transit center, that'll be nice. and then
One
lots of
very
different
nice. Those, they're very nice.
Yeah.
That'll happen by June.
I think probably the weekend by June, and by the time it gets installed, but it's 10 to 12 weeks.
Thank you. Did we cover it all?
I think so, Nancy's the one doing the project, so she would know if we missed it.
Did we cover it all?
Covered it all. New lighting at the shelters, poles that will have some of the stops that don't have shelters with the lights. And then just the one digital signage transit center.
All right, that's it for me, I think.
Sounds like we've almost pretty much done neighbor updates, just with what we talked about with Nutmeg Express. And
Yeah, like I said, the only thing that she wanted us to pass on is that she's
word.
looking for flap and she's worried, yes. I don't think that they have any plans for new service or. They do, I mean, they are still, I should say, they are trying to build a hub on the mountain. I don't know if you guys are following that, but, at the restroom area, there would be a transit hub. I think it can hold 4 buses. It'll basically look a lot like ours here in town, 4 buses, bathroom. They'll still operate out of here, but it'll give buses the ability to connect easier than they currently, they don't connect at all right now. So,
Any comment, questions?
I did want to make a note that our June meeting is gonna be June 4th.
That was my question.
Oh, yes. Andy is gonna actually take a real vacation.
Hallelujah.
So get out of here. We pushed it back so that, she could take that vacation without interruption.
Yeah, no binders on the plane.
Chris did it.
Yes, I did.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else. Let's go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 6:57.
Wow.